Okay. So just a couple more minutes to let everybody in. Just to let you know that we are already recording and live streaming to our YouTube channel. As I mentioned, this session will run in English language because many people among our audience are not Portuguese speakers, so they will be able to follow the entire session, the opening speeches, the pitching sessions, and let me see here if, okay. We will have a time before the pitching starts for some Q&A. If you have any doubts, I will explain a little bit about the procedure, how it will work in terms of the time you have, in terms of the interaction with the audience, how the pitching will progress. But I will have a few minutes before the pitching starts. If you have any last minute questions, any doubts, just feel free to either raise hands or activate the button here in Zoom where you can request to speak. We will have a team monitoring here because we will need to have the microphones muted and while at least while we are in the opening speeches in the pitching sessions. And you will have a bit of time to make any questions right before we start the pitching session. So I assume the participants may be a little bit anxious or a little bit nervous, but don't worry because it will be good for everyone. And we will start in a couple of minutes. Let's just wait a little bit more to see if more people will be joining. It's a bit weird for me to be here without music whatsoever. Everybody's muted. It's a bit weird to be in the same room with everyone, but I'm the only one listening to myself. And to the ones that I didn't say hello yet and are joining now, thanks for coming in, being on board. The audience is requesting me to sing, but sorry, it will not happen. And it's a big pleasure for me personally to welcome you here in the 7th edition of the festival. I will start in about 1 minute with an opening speech, informal one, as is the tradition of this festival. We will have a few opening speeches from our main partners and supporters and sponsors, just to welcome you to this edition of the festival. As I said a few minutes ago, but I will repeat just for everybody to be on the same page, the session will run, this session specifically will run entirely in English language. You may find odd that a Portuguese language screenplay festival will be starting with an English language session. But this year we invested a lot of our efforts into making this festival becoming a window for the Portuguese language film and audiovisual production to the world, in the sense that we want this festival, we want this event to be an opportunity to connect the Portuguese language makers with the decision makers around the world that can look at this event as an opportunity to discover new talent, new projects, new business opportunities. So for that reason, we tried to concentrate this year everybody in an online platform, industry platform, where meetings like business meetings, new connections can be established. And in the sequence of that effort, this opening session will run in English language, where we can everybody in the same room, in the same session, presentation, and be able to communicate among everybody in a fluid and organic way. The following sessions of the festival will run in Portuguese language. So this is the only session which will happen in English language. And without any further ado, I will probably start, since we already have a significant amount of people joining us in this session. So in a nutshell, I don't want to take much of the time of this session, but I want to welcome everybody. I'm very happy to understand that the effort that all these years, it's the 7th edition of the festival, so it started in 2014 in a very small, cozy, informal way, in the sequence of my own idea that screenwriters struggle a lot to connect with the rest of the industry chain in film and media production. And an event like this could make sense for the Portuguese language universe, where opportunities could be established to bring additional connections, additional visibility to the people that is focusing his activity into the storytelling, the story creation, the story imagination. And I wanted this event straight from the beginning to be an happening that could connect people. And straight from the first edition, where we received like 280 applications of feature film screenplays written in Portuguese language, I understood that definitely the screenwriters needed, at least the Portuguese language screenwriters needed something like this. And there would be space to grow or to build on top of this idea, on top of this concept. And the effort that I've been putting a lot into this concept over the years is to make it as significant and relevant to the producers and the decision makers as it is to the screenwriters. And year over year, I think some solid steps were being made. From the 2nd edition onwards, the festival moved to Lisbon. It established here with the partnership with the Lisbon City Council that we really are happy to count with. And for the past 6 editions, the festival was concentrated in a gathering, in a public presentation, presential one, where the participants, the selected participants, would have the opportunity to pitch their projects, their ideas, to connect with the industry. And last year, unfortunately, because of the circumstances that affected us all, the 6th edition of the festival was affected right in the middle when the pandemic, severe confinement, like the lockdown, started in Portugal at least, and the festival was affected, and some of the activities needed to be canceled or readjusted. So since we need to start preparing this event with 1 year in advance to start launching the call for the screenwriters, for the scripts, for the competition categories to be in, we had to take this decision in advance to know what we could count on, in the sense that this very unstable period, we don't know if we could make something presential, something hybrid. We seek the hybrid opportunity to have some film screenings or presential masterclasses or debates. But in the end, when we needed to take the decisions about the program of the festival, it was still not possible to foresee an opportunity to have the presential edition or the hybrid edition at the very least. So we decided to gather all our efforts, all our resources into building something that could take advantage of the online world and focus on the very core purpose and mission of this festival. That is the one of connecting the screenwriters with the decision makers, the audience, the industry, let's say it like this. And in that regard, we focused into building an industry platform where we could invite or extend the invitations beyond the Portuguese language universe and involve international decision makers like co-producers or potential co-producers, the sales agents, distributors, festival programmers, among many other possibly industry representatives. So we put a lot of effort into establishing an industry platform where these connections could happen in a more organic way, and we are happy with the results so far. A lot of people adhered to this challenge, to this call, to this request. So we don't regret the fact that the event went online, fully online this year. Of course, the physical connection is always better in many ways, but also reducing the traveling needs and the own resources of the festival that are very short, as you may all know. This allowed us to extend the reach of the festival to a wider industry audience, which is very satisfying for me personally, but for the festival concept in general. So in a nutshell, I'm happy to welcome you to this 7th edition. It's a program designed mainly for screenwriters, in the sense that it promotes a lot of training activities such as masterclasses, debates for experience sharing, pitching sessions to connect, to introduce, to reveal new projects that are coming in or projects that are in post-production stage, which is a new section of the festival. We decided this year to launch, besides the traditional competition for feature films, we launched a competition for pilot episodes for series, and also a new section that is for Portuguese language projects, either in development or in post-production, that are looking for additional financing, co-producers, sales agents, whatsoever. So this year we will promote this online edition with a mix of activities. We are happy with the program that we were able to design. It's mainly a program in Portuguese language for the Portuguese language audience, screenwriters, producers, film enthusiasts in general. But it is good to have you here in this opening session. Let me see if I'm forgetting something. Of course, I want to invite everybody that may be able to attend the program of the festival. It's fully online through the Zoom links or through the website of the festival, guiões.com. It's a pleasure to count one more time with the financial support of the Portuguese Film Institute, who 3 years ago, by the people of the board of the Film Institute, believed in the concept of this festival and understood the relevance that it could bring to the Portuguese language industry in general. So it's a pleasure to be again partner of the Portuguese Film Institute in this initiative. Of course, through the Portuguese Film Institute, the Ministry of Culture from Portugal, and the Lisbon City Council, that as financial supporters or sponsors of the event, allow these activities to happen. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that these supports are giving to this festival, and I hope that we can correspond to the demands and that we can grow all together on top of what we are trying to build here. So I don't want to extend more. I want to give the word to, I want to thank, of course, the team, but I want to give the word to the Secretary of State of Film, Audiovisual and Media from Portugal, Nuno Artur Silva, who's joining us today, and he also wants to say some words to the audience. Thank you. Thank you, Nuno.
Thank you, Luis, and congratulations for the festival. To all of you on both sides of the Atlantic and beyond, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the 7th edition of Guiões, a Portuguese Language Script Festival. E agora em português também, a todos e a todas dos dois lados do Atlântico, é com enorme prazer que vos dou as boas-vindas à 7ª edição do Guiões, o Festival do Roteiro de Língua Portuguesa. Guião, sendo um galicismo, um francesismo da gíria cinematográfica, como métier, ou repérage, ou décor, tem na palavra roteiro a sua expressão na língua que nos une, a versão brasileira, roteiro, e que faz a ligação entre o que em Portugal se dá o nome de argumento e de étimo latino, enraizado do latim, e para o qual contribuem novos guiões, novas visões e novos pontos de vista sobre como contar uma história. O roteiro, que não é muito utilizado em Portugal dividimos entre o argumento, que é mais usado no cinema, e o guião, que é mais utilizado na televisão. A palavra roteiro era também, no português, a palavra para o livro de bordo, adequada para esta viagem, que é sempre o percurso de produção cinematográfica, a viagem que cada criador se propõe a alcançar. A palavra roteiro é assim uma boa metáfora para o trabalho, que é sempre um trabalho coletivo de criação audiovisual. E em relação a Portugal e ao Brasil, sempre próximos e distantes, lembro-me sempre daquela máxima do Oscar Wilde sobre a língua inglesa a propósito das relações entre os americanos e os ingleses. Wilde dizia: tanta coisa em comum, mas há sempre a barreira da língua. Esperemos que, no caso de Portugal e o Brasil, esse não seja o caso e com roteiro ou com guião nos encontremos na arte de escrever para esse trabalho sempre coletivo que é o cinema e o audiovisual. Portanto, mais do que um tempo de balanço dos laços entre Portugal e o Brasil, este é um tempo de oportunidade para a indústria conhecer melhor as propostas dos criadores, e os votos que formulo é que esta seja uma ocasião para nos voltarmos a ver, a encontrar, a trabalhar juntos. Vejo com grande entusiasmo este festival e este encontro entre pessoas de muitos lados do mundo. Acho muito simbólico e muito interessante o encontro que vai estar previsto entre a direção, o representante dos argumentistas portugueses, João Nunes, com quem tive o prazer de trabalhar em tempos, que é o presidente da direção argumentista, da direção dos argumentistas portugueses, e também a presidente da nova diretoria, ou direção, da ABRA, a Associação Brasileira de Autores Roteiristas, para trocarem pontos de vista sobre a escrita para as imagens. E, portanto, faço votos para que seja uma ótima oportunidade de trabalho para todos, e espero que em breve nos possamos encontrar na 8ª edição, desta vez presencialmente, e desejo a todos boa sorte para os vossos trabalhos e que os roteiros vos levem a bom porto. Good luck, see you soon. Até breve. Obrigado.
Obrigado, Nuno. Thank you, Nuno. It's a pleasure to count you in this 7th edition. We will move to the next opening speech, which is represented by a pre-recorded video by the board of the Portuguese Film Institute, Luís Xabi Vaz and Maria Mineiro. I will share the screen here where they want to share a few words about the opening of the festival.
Hello, everybody. We are the Portuguese Film Institute, and we are here to welcome you to the 7th edition of the festival in Guiões. For us at the Portuguese Film Institute, it was, since the first edition, one of the most crucial and strategic festivals that were supported by us. Not only because it was the first one that was dedicated only to the screenwriters and their important role, but also it created the chance of Portuguese storytellers to reach other producers, exhibitors, distributors around the world, and get our Portuguese stories out there. So for us, still is a very important festival, and we wish you all the best in this edition.
Hi, everybody. We would also like to say that ICA supporting schemes have been very important too. Since the approval of the new film law and audiovisual law in 2014, we have been able to increase the funding towards creation and development with more than 12 million euros available and invested, and more than 400 projects supported. And there are more than 270 million Portuguese speakers in the world, which represents a huge market. And events like Guiões can make the difference in this context. So we wish you all the best for this edition. Bye.
So thank you to the board of Portuguese Film Institute for supporting this 7th edition of the festival. The other main sponsor or financial supporter of the event is the Lisbon City Council, that today is represented by Manuel Veiga, which is the municipal director of culture, and you will be joining us here also for some welcoming words to this 7th edition of the festival.
Luís, good afternoon. On behalf of the Mayor of Lisbon and the Councillor for Culture, I would like to greet everyone, as well as to thank the Festival Direction for inviting the municipality to participate in this opening day. The Lisbon City Council started supporting Guiões in 2019, recognizing the importance of the work developed and the partnerships established throughout its editions. This is now the 7th edition of the festival, and we are very pleased to support it again in 2021. The consolidation of this event through the number of applications, scripts presented, and the interest shown by the guest decision makers has confirmed the relevance of the festival's concept in the audiovisual sector. So it is also fundamental to us to host events of this nature in Lisbon, whose international scale effectively contribute to boosting cultural creation and production, and at the same time fostering the internationalization and promotion of our city abroad. So I would like also to highlight the relevance of this festival in encouraging the creation and production of scripts in the Portuguese language, contributing to enhance the importance of the script in the world of cinema, and at the same time stimulating potential new creators. The Guiões Festival represents an important contribution to the internationalization of works and the export of audiovisual content in Portuguese. So this festival ends up working as a point of contact, facilitating access to the market for Portuguese-speaking screenwriters from countries such as Brazil, Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde, São Tomé e Príncipe, Macau, and Guinea-Bissau, promoting the gathering among directors, producers, distributors, exhibitors, and other agents in the film and television industries. On the other hand, it is also important to emphasize that since the festival's first edition, the scripts that have been awarded, such as the ones of Uma Vida Sublime by Luís Diogo, or Ellen Não Acredita na Morte by Diego Huffle, Ricardo Alves Júnior and João Salavisa, were screened and awarded at several international festivals. Adapting the format of Guiões Festival to an exclusively online edition, given the contingents arising from the pandemic, does not change the importance of this event for the city. Even if some of the advantage of in-person production are obviously lost, the online format may, in fact, we think, allow for one of the most promising editions of the festival to be realized to date. So I therefore wish the greatest success for this edition 2021 of Festival Guiões, and that it may be able to achieve the goals it proposes and the expectations of all of you, all of the participants. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
See
Manuel.
you around.
Thank you very much, Manuel, and the Lisbon City Council for believing in this event and supporting, allowing us to get these activities going. We would also like to thank the additional partners from the awards, sponsors, from the communication partners. I would personally like to thank the team that is embracing this journey throughout the years, being the readers, the committee of readers that go through the extensive process of reading all the screenplays that we receive and carefully evaluating and choosing the ones that would be recognized and distinguished in every edition. And also the team, the crew, this year in a smaller number due to the online form, but here represented by Ana Almeida and Lucas Freire. They will be also point of contact for everybody that may have questions, that may be wanting to get some things sorted out. So we are at your disposal to help in whatever we can. And then Lucas will be monitoring this session. So thank you all the partners and the opening speeches. Thank you everybody for being in. I will now proceed to some practical info regarding the pitching session. As I said, Anna and Lucas will be monitoring because we need the microphones to be muted throughout the session rather than the ones that of the authors of the projects that will be pitching. And it will work like this. So every project will have a maximum of 5 minutes to pitch. We will be very strict with the time to be fair for all the 10 participants. So everybody can have the maximum number of time to do their presentations. The pitch was divided this year in 2 different moments. So one pre-recorded video pitch that was included in the project book, the catalog, which all the decision makers, industry representatives attending the event already had access to. And this specific pitch session through Zoom, which is a solution, but not the optimal one to show mood boards or video pitch. So we requested all the participants to focus this specific pitch today on an oral one, where it could be interactive in the sense that they can introduce you to the world that they are creating with their projects and to the status where the projects are, all the different information that they want to communicate about the projects. So they will have a maximum of 5 minutes each, and then each project will have in the following, so 5 minutes, the time stops, and then 5 minutes for questions. The priority will be given to the jury members of this specific session that I can name is Marie-Pierre Vallée from Wild Bunch, Nicolas Kaiser from Memento, and Paolo Bertolin from Venice International Film Festival. They are joining us today as well to get to know, of course, they had access to the catalog, the project book, but they will also make their decisions based on the pitching that will occur today. I must inform that there are awards in place for these specific categories, PT Co-Prod and PT in Progress. So one project from the PT Co-Prod will get a waiver to participate in Plot Professional Script Lab next year, 2022. And one project in work in progress or in post-production will get an award of an offer from Loudness Films, which is a post-production house from Portugal, a €5,000 award where they can use that amount in services, post-production services in the partner studio. This to say that 5 minute speech followed by 5 minutes Q&A with the audience. Priority will be given to any questions that the jury may want to bring. So Marie-Pierre, Nicolas, Paolo, feel free to jump in when the time comes, or either by raising your hands or by starting to make the question. If the jury members doesn't have any question, we can open the question time for any member of the audience here today to make any question, any doubt that they want to get explained further or developed further from the project author or team of authors or representatives of the project. Please feel free to use the chat here in Zoom to place any questions that you may want to place. We may use them or not, depending on the time that we have. And also for the ones following us on our YouTube channel, you can also make use of the chat or the commentary box to place any questions. We will be tracking them. And if we have that possibility, we can also bring those questions in the due time for the participants. So thank you everybody for being in. I will start announcing one project at a time. I will be counting the time, and again, I will be very strict to be fair for every participant. When the 5 minutes comes, if you didn't finish before the deadline or the due time, I will inform that the time is over, and then we will have 5 minutes for additional questions. I don't know if any of you wants to make one question before we start. feel free to ask. We are here to help out and to bring any additional info that you need. So if you don't, just another reminder that the microphone should be muted. Our team will be monitoring, so if someone gets in and by accident starts speaking in between the pitch or so, we will try to mute them as soon as possible so it doesn't interfere with the pitching. And I'm happy to start this pitching session by giving the word to the project A Hora dos Ruminantes, or the 3 Trials of Manirema, represented here by the authors André Meireles Colazo, Alexei Habib, and the producer Luana Furquim from Prosperidade Content.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Luis, for this opportunity. I'm André Meireles Colazo. I'm a script writer, director, and cinema researcher. I'm living in Lisbon. I come to Europe to try to open new opportunities in other markets to our company, Prosperidade Company. And we don't have too much time, but not here in this pitching, but in our country, Brazil. We are living dark times in Brazil, and we don't know what will happen with cinema, with art, and more important, with our future. Bolsonaro destroyed everything, all social achievements in the last 16 years. He began a kind of brainwashing, and he won until now. Who will stop this project of horror? Our democracy at in risk, our future at in risk, our country at in risk. But I'm here to talk about cinema. But it is impossible to talk about cinema without talking about politics. And because of this, I have chosen to adapt an important Brazilian novel to the cinema, The 3 Trials of Manirema, or the Portuguese title, A Hora dos Ruminantes, by José J. Veiga. The book was written in 1962 and released in 1964, beginning of the Brazilian military dictatorship. And to revisit a work from 1960 is to show that in a country like Brazil, time has and hasn't passed. We are stuck in a cycle of horror. The book by José J. Veiga helps us to reflect about the instability, about the past, the present, and the future. The instability in a social space run by fear, anguish, distrust, which has put everyone in a permanent state of alert, doubt on real and imaginary perils. Dark times, times of alienation. We don't have too much time, and we need international help to producing this important Brazilian novel. It is a universal content. It is about everyone.
Hi there, I'm Alexei Habib. I'm writing the project with my great friend André. And so the first thing I think it's worth mention is that when we presented the project to Guiões, we were already focused on the second version of the script. At this point, the situation in our country was getting worse every day, and we were so overwhelmed that it became almost necessary to reflect these tragic circumstances in the story. We're feeling stuck, totally trapped, so we came up with an idea. But if the whole town of Manirema was a prison, an experimental prison, what if everybody there didn't know anything about it? What if they had their memories erased and would be living there, believing they were free when they were actually controlled all the time? This means, of course, we would be in a world where the far right-wing movement won and thus expanded its evil to another level. Now entire cities were prisons. Private prisons sold by international corporations to the governments. A world, unfortunately, not so far from where we are now. Brazil has actually been a proof camp of the right-wing's policies and strategies. And if the current government is not stopped and win the elections next year, it's not absurd to imagine that the whole country could be soon controlled. We will be then in a big modern concentration camp, privately financed and operated by the present technologies, which actually doesn't change anything in the structure of the current version of the script, but makes everything we see there sadly actual. This is our Manirema.
Hi there, I'm Luana, the film's producer, speaking from São Paulo. Despite all the situation we are living in Brazil, we are very happy to return to Guiões. We are here with Ellen, our first feature, and this film was selected to Cine Latino, Toulouse, and next week will be released in Brazil. We hope for a new successful journey, starting from Guiões again, with 3 trials of Manirema. And for that to happen, we need more than ever co-producers, sales agents, distributors, all kinds of partnerships. In terms of possibility of production budget, in Brazil, we can still count with a few public funds at the state of São Paulo and São Paulo City. This year, we were selected by a development fund, which helped us in this very beginning of the project. It's part of our strategy as well, take the film to international markets and apply for international funds. And our co-production, our production company has been working for 8 years. And during these years, we produced 12 documentary series for the main Brazilian channels and some international channels, a feature film and some short films. So we are ready for another journey with 3 trials of Manirema. We thank Guiões for opening up possibilities to make this important and urgent project a reality. Thank you all.
Thank you, Luana, Andre, and Alexei. I didn't interrupt. We went 30 seconds over the time, no worries. We have 4 minutes and a half up of questions and answers. Thank you for your presentation. I don't know if the jury wants to make any question. You may use the time now to bring any question if you want, or we can open to the audience the remaining 4 minutes. So I assume at least the jury may not have questions at this stage. So I open the time to anyone here in the audience that may want to make a specific question about production details or about the story, anything. You may use this time. We still have about 3 minutes and a half that you can bring questions to the authors. Please make use of the opportunity. Okay, we have a question here. What audience is the film targeting? It's a question coming from the audience here. I don't know, Andre, Alexei, Luana, if you can hear me. Someone in the audience is asking which is the audience of the film? What is the target audience of the film?
The audience of the film, I think there's a universal content, and we don't have the target, specific target. Of course, it's not to the children audience or something like this, but I think there's no universal teenager can see the film, because talk about the universal content about our country nowadays and alert to our possibilities of the future. But this film is not the local film. It's not about just Brazilian situation. It's about every place that live in the same political thinkers around the world. In Brazil, like the Bolsonaro fascismo, or other countries or other situations around the world. And we don't have the specific target, I think so. I don't know if Luana want to complete my... But
the film is a thriller, so that's a lot of potential. We know that many films released right now are following this kind of genre. So I think we have potential to reach a huge audience with the film.
Okay, thank you, Andrea, Luana. Is there any other question from the audience? We still have 1 minute and a half that can be used. I don't know if someone wants to bring anything else. If we don't, then we will move on to the next project. Thank you, Andre, Alexei, and Luana. We will proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will proceed to the project Chofre, which will be presented by Odécio Antonio Jr. and the producer Christine Lucena. They will be using a translator to help out in the English language presentation, which is André Dib. So I will start as soon as you start talking. Odécio and Christine, thank you. This is Chofre.
Olá, eu sou Décio Antoninho, gostaria de agradecer ao Guiões e dizer que estou falando aqui de João Pessoa, Paraíba. Sou roteirista e diretor do Chofre.
Hello, I am Odécio Antonio. I'd like to thank, first of all, to Guiões for selecting our project. I am director and screenwriter of Chofre feature film. I speak from João Pessoa, Paraíba, northeast of Brazil.
Olá, eu sou Cristine Lucena, represento a produtora Rendeira Filmes e estou na produção executiva do Chofre. Nossa produtora atualmente trabalha na pré-produção de um longa-metragem aqui na Paraíba, o Fúria, e estamos na fase de captação do projeto Chofre.
Hello, my name is Cristine Lucena. I represent Rendeira Filmes. And I am part of the team of Chofre feature film. At the moment, I am as executive producer of Fúria feature film shot in Paraíba, and we are. I'm looking for. In this moment, we're going to. I'm looking for funds for our movie Chofre.
Esse que vos fala é o André Dib e ele vai falar um texto que nós preparamos para vocês com as fotos que eu vou mostrar.
Okay, I'm André Dib, I'm interpreter, and I'm going to read the text while I speak. Odécio and Christine are going to show some photographs made for the script and location research. Chofre, one moment.
André, acho que você pode ir indo, não?
Okay, I'm going to start. Chofre is a Western movie transposed to the Brazil Northeast in present time. More specifically, in the Seridó region, state of Paraíba, main themes are gemstones, extraction, corruption, labor exploitation, and ethnic exclusion. About ethnic exclusion, the script includes Gypsies characters from the Calon, first group of Gypsies to arrive in the country of Brazil, who are persecuted by the majority of local population. Chofre means blow, bang, something that happens suddenly, in an abrupt way. In the storyline, it is an enigmatic element, a peculiar handmade weapon, which popping sound is a warning that local forces hold the power and the state doesn't have the law. Sometimes this sound is confused with dynamite used in banks explosions inside Paraíba state, criminal acts of banks that explode the banks. We propose a classic narrative centralized in the point of view of an anti-hero. The development stage is ready, which includes location research and mapping of a team of suppliers around the filming activities. We are looking for international co-production, not only because Brazil is in political and economical crisis, but also aiming to strengthen the team and the internship of professional experience, and mainly because we believe it's the best way to shoot a feature movie. This dynamic would enhance the project range, including more visibility and distribution, increasing the potential public. Having started in 2018, Rendeira Filmes has, through his partners, a consolidated audiovisual work in Paraíba. The production company has a network of suppliers that enables the execution of its projects and is part of the movement of the brand new cinema in Paraíba. Thanks for your time. We're looking forward to answering your questions and talking more about the project.
Thank you, Odécio, Christine, and André. We have about 4 minutes and a half for questions. If the jury members have any questions, please let us know. If the jury doesn't have, we can proceed to any question that the audience may have. Also, for the ones following us through YouTube channel, you can type in any questions that we can bring if we have time here to the pitching session. Okay, no questions from the audience. I don't see questions coming in from the YouTube channel as well.
Paulo has a question.
Yeah, actually, I raised my hand, but I guess you didn't see me.
I didn't see. Sorry, we will try to be more sharp on that. Thank you, Paulo.
No, but I have a very simple question. What is the ideal timeline for the project? If everything goes smoothly, when do you plan to actually start, and when do you wish to complete the film if everything goes as you planned?
I'm sorry, would you repeat the question?
What is the ideal timeline for the project? Meaning, if everything goes smoothly in terms of financing and then production, when do you plan to complete the film? By when do you plan to complete the film? Sorry, I'm using my iPhones.
Ok, ele perguntou em quanto tempo seria a execução do filme, a depender dos recursos, né?
A execução do filme, na produção, são 5 semanas preparadas, uma pré-produção de 4 semanas. Isso de acordo com a situação ideal.
Maybe allow me to jump in. I think Paulo was questioning more about if you have like a timeline, like to shoot in 2021, 2022, if you have already an idea of a calendar. I can also bring in. Se tem calendário previsto, ou seja, se estão a planear rodar ainda em 2021 ou 2022, para quando o lançamento do filme?
Nós pretendemos rodar em 2022, no segundo semestre de 2022, quando o tempo é favorável e a seca na região do semiárido é mais propícia.
Okay. They intend to shoot in second semester of 2022 because of weather issues.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? I will try to use the gallery mode to see if someone is raising hands, and I don't see anyone. So if there are no more questions for this project, we will probably proceed. Thank you, Odécio, Christine, and André. Obrigado. The next project will be Escola Filhote Selvagem, or in English, Wild Cub School, presented here by Akira Martins, which is one of the authors and producer from the company Rodo Ferro, coming from Brazil.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here with you. Thank you for your time and your patience. This is my first time talking in English, and presenting something in English. So let's see how it goes. And first of all, before I start my presentation, I would like to ask you all something. So if you could choose which animal you would be, I would like you to think about that and why, actually. Just hold this information in your mind, then maybe I will try to use that in the other part of the presentation. Let's see if it works. So nice to meet you. My name is Akira Martins. I am executive producer of my company, Rodo Ferro. We are based in Brasília, capital of Brazil. We have in our portfolio 9 short movies that travel all around the world in more than 130 festivals. They have more than 20 awards. We have also 2 documentaries. One of them is in Amazon Prime International Catalog. And we are right now producing our first TV series, and hope everything goes well, because in the times of pandemic, it's been quite a challenge, but everything is going well so far. So I came here to talk about Wild Cub School. This is our children's series. It's a live action, a fun live action. We have already developed 26 episodes of 13 minutes. When I say that's already developed, it's because we already have 26 screenplays written. So a part of the job was already done. And our target is, of course, children, but we have other layers in our stories that I think can touch and can achieve other ages and different experiences. So just think about Wild Cub School. What's that? Imagine that we have studying the same school, Salomon, a salmon, and Leo, a lion. They're pretty different. They come from different places. Salomon is like the newest student in the school, and he's like the first time that he's out of the river, so he's trying to figure out how to live in the earth and etc. And Leo is like the leader of the group. He's like he thinks he is the king of the recreation time in the school. And well, they need to live together. They need to play together and to have fun together, and they need to figure out how to do that. This will be not easy, I'm pretty sure about that. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure that they will figure out how to do that, and they will have fun. They will have good adventures, and they will have good moments to face, and a lot of fun with that. We have also other characters here, but I'm focusing these 2 ones just because of my time. So when I'm saying that I'm pretty sure that they will resolve this problem, it's because actually for me, I am kind of the salmon. I was always a little bit out of my place. So for example, here I'm not in Brasilia, I am in Vienna. And all the time I was not from the place that I was. As you can see, I'm half Japanese. So in Brazil, usually people think that I'm Japanese and not Brazilian. So all the time I'm not exactly where I think I am. And Leo is kind of Renan, my partnership in the company. He's always a lion. He's like the king of the recreation time. And we have also here his listeners, Elias. I will not talk about his character, but just think about Armadillo. I'm pretty sure he has this contact with the earth as Armadillo has. So yeah, we have these characters here, and now I will try to bring back my question in the beginning. What would be your animal? And now I want to think, would like to ask you to think, how would be the animal that you choose in this school? What faces, what problems this animal would face, and what adventures they could have? And if you can think about that and about these stories that just came to your mind now, I'm pretty sure that every kid, every children, everywhere will see this series will think the same. Will come through some imagination, some fantasy to emerge in this world, and it can go everywhere. I think any kid, any place had some moment in their life that they think, oh, I would love to be a falcon on an eagle or a lion. I'm pretty sure about that. So I'm looking for co-production and here, and so I'm thinking as we are in co-prod PT, I'm trying to figure out if you have some opportunities abroad the world with our product, and just waiting for hear your questions. Maybe I can try to say something about the product too.
Thank you, Akira. I don't know if the jury members have any question to bring. You may unmute your micro and jump in if you have any questions.
Hi, this is Nicholas. I have a question for you. Is 2 questions actually. Do you have a broadcaster, or like what's your strategy for exhibition? And is there an overall story, or like are every episode like different and like kind of tell their own story, and there's not a big arc overall?
Yeah, no, it's a procedural series, so each episode is completely different of the other one. And sorry, I forgot the first. Okay, the broadcast. We don't have right now some broadcast that's interesting our series, our project. So we are looking for that too. So if you can help me with that, I will be really happy.
Thank you, Nicholas. I don't know if any other member of the jury has questions. We have one here from the audience, but I can give priority to the jury members to keep on time. If not, I can bring this question. Is how are you going to portray the different animals?
So yeah, one thing that I would like to share with you here is I have like a teaser that can show the universe that we did. We shooted a pilot in 2016 that defends a lot about our universe. So you can see that how we are thinking about the animals, and we have also some mood boards here that defends our new characters. As we shoot in 2016, the children are already almost adults, so we have new characters that we developed for this season that we are trying to produce. And they are basically like real animals and real humans. We say that they are half animals and half humans, but in a sense, they are humans that had some dresses that makes them think about they are animals. And it's something that, for example, the kids could do with something that they find in the cupboard. They find some clothes of the mom or something like that. And for example, then I just figure out that I am a zebra or something like that. So we are trying to do that, to think about what the kids would do and what we have here in the series.
Thank you, Akira. We have another question from the audience. What is the budget for the project?
I'm really bad to say numbers in English, but I think it's 550,000 euros and around 3.5 million reais.
Thank you, Akira. Any other question from the audience? Following also YouTube. Any question coming in? So if not, thank you, Akira. Thank you, everyone. And we will proceed for the next project, which is entitled Fluxos or Fluxes in English. It will be presented by Bruno Rico from Brazil. It's one of the two projects that we have in the selection that are in post-production stage. Welcome, Bruno.
Hi, thank you very much, Luis. So nice to meet you all. My name is Bruno Rico. I'm the director and producer of Fluxes, and I have here with me Andrea Lanzoni, who's the co-producer. First of all, I'd like to say that it's an honor to be here talking to you, such great professionals of cinema, and especially under these hard times we're facing, not only internationally because of the pandemic, but also locally in Brazil because of the political situation that some has talked about here. Well, Fluxes is a documentary about the realities of street populations and the so-called cracklands of São Paulo. The crackland is the name it's given for the territory or the reunion of drug users and drug dealers on the streets of São Paulo. And it also has a name which is Fluxo, which would be flux in English. I think what's interesting to say here that's not in the catalog about the project is that I myself have worked deeply with this population for many years. For 4 years, when I used to live in the center of São Paulo, I was an art educator at this NGO called Edilei that works with harm reduction among vulnerable populations. And there I conducted these cinema and video workshops and got the opportunity to get really close to this population and even create some affection and friendships that lasted after I left this institution in 2015. In 2017, when I was already working professionally with cinema and with the advertisement, I started shooting this institutional film for another NGO there, and I met the three characters of Fluxes, which are Dentinho, Janaína, and França. And I got the idea of shooting this short film. By that time, it would be a short film. But once we started shooting and we got closer and I got more curious and more interested about their lives, I simply kept shooting. And now we have this feature documentary. I think what's interesting about Fluxus is that it's a movie totally made from inside the territory, from inside this context, and that it follows for more than 2 years the lives of these three characters, França, Janaína, and Dentinho, really establishing this close and poetic view over the characters and bringing the audience close to them. So by this way, we're making a movie that's not the typical journalistic documentary that tries to explain, to debate, or to solve the problem. What we're trying to do here is to really make audience and characters closer, and by that bring a deeper and a deeper view of such a delicate and complex context. And I think it's important to say very briefly that the narrative also opens to other situations on the street, as it talks to other characters living on the streets, testify to police operations, public assemblies, arts performance in the territory, among others. So this way, we believe we bring a multiple and deep view of such complex reality. I'd like to say more, but I'll let Andrea finish the presentation, talk a little bit about the production things. Oh, I'll try to share my screen and show some photos as she speaks, okay?
Well, hi, it's great to be here with all of you in these times that we're so isolated. It's nice to be with other people talking about these projects we love. So as some of other colleagues here said, the Brazilian cinema is really going through harsh times, and me, Bruno, and other filmmakers here in Brazil believe that because of the situation, we have to understand we have to keep on making cinema more than ever. So this is where Fluxus comes from. It's a way of sharing these other Brazils that still resist, that struggle. So this is the production mode that we used in Fluxus. So the production was made with the support of people that believed in the project, with self-resources, passion, and a lot of work. Bruno shot the film basically in a one-person crew. So we're now finishing the post-production with the state funding we got last year, which gave us the possibility to bring abroad great partners to finish with us the film. We're now looking for sales, distributors, and other partners to carry the film with us. And we understand that the audience that are people interested in documentary, that search for a human and singular mode to look at, and to imagine possibilities, narratives, images, affections, and forms of living through and after this particular time we're at. So just one thing I forgot to talk about the film is that the issue that Bruno brings in Fluxus is an issue that has been in the center of this narrative dispute for decades here in Brazil, and I believe in other cities as well. That is a territory where it's been taken by population, and and a community also lives there, and lots of things happens, and lots of artistic groups are there, and political movements are there. So the way that Bruno films it brings a very inside look to it, and it's been a great way to look at this issue in these times. So I think that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Bruno and Andrea. We have about 3 minutes and a half for questions from the jury audience. Feel free to jump in. Yeah, Marie-Pierre, please.
Yes, hello. I would like to know if you have already the duration of the film, of the documentary.
Yeah, it's 75 minutes at this time, Marie.
How many minutes?
75.
75.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just to complete a bit the previous question, are you finished with the post-production entirely, or like what's the status on the post-production?
We'll be finished by end of June. Yeah, that's it. We got the funding for this part to be finished, so we started in May, and till June we'll be finished.
Yeah, we already have a pre-color correction, and we have the final cuts and the mix of sound, soundtrack. These things are getting done by now, basically. So probably by the end of the month, for sure.
Thank you, Marie-Pierre. Nicolas, any other question from the jury or from the audience?
Well, the question is whether the film is basically done then. I mean, you're saying that you're completing the post-production, so you're ready to show the film to festivals and to sales agents or broadcasters in 1 month's time, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the timing we're at.
Thank you. Any other question from the audience?
I think it's important to say very briefly that by the time we applied for Guiões here, we didn't have the final cut yet, you know. So that's how we got here. But we really were able to advance on that, get closer to the final cut, and that's the reason we're almostly done with finishing the movie.
Yeah, just summing with what Bruno said, the public funding what came about the end of last year, the beginning of this year, we were able to start having some money to do the post-production. So that made it faster than we expected.
Thank you. I must compliment on that in the sense that the call for projects for Guiões, PT Co-Product in Progress, was in March. So that's why the project evolved throughout these months. I don't know if there's any other question from the audience, or we can move on to the next project. Any last minute question? No. Okay. So thank you, Bruno, Andrea. The next project is Lost in Chiang Mai by Antonio Ferreira and Tatiane Sacilotto from the production company Persona Non Grata Pictures and coming from Portugal.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Obrigado, Luís Campos. Obrigado, Guiões, por esta oportunidade de participar e mostrar o projeto. So, Lost in Chiang Mai is a feature film. The idea started when we were living in South Asia last year, before the pandemic. And one of the things that struck me the most was, especially in Thailand, was this amount of men, especially elderly men over 50, over 60 years old, who seemed like retired men, and a lot of them were just moving there to Southeast Asia, namely Thailand, and they started the life there. So they would have a small business. Many of them were married with a Thai woman. Many times living with their kids of this Thai woman. So I was really wondering what kind of life these people had, because it wasn't really, of course, we all have this idea of the prostitution in Southeast Asia, especially in Thailand, which is quite open. It's really into the society, and it's really well integrated in a way. It's not like something that is hidden. You can just see it. And these people seem to be looking for a new life in a way. And one thing that also struck me was they look like working class people. So we're not talking about rich people who have money to go abroad and just live in a tropical country. They look a lot like what we call the blue collar people. And I had the opportunity to talk with some of them, people we made friends with during the time we stayed there. And it's a bit that story. So they come from Western countries, like a lot of them, like Australia, United Kingdom, United States. with a retirement, which in their countries wouldn't mean that much money. They would just live in the periphery of the big city, in a really gray neighborhood, and there they would have like a nice life, nice weather, and kind of a new chance to start a life in the retirement age. So this is where the starting point for the story. I want to characterize two characters, and the film will be divided in three parts. So one part, it's our Western man, someone around 60 years old, who just before retiring, he finds out that he has a deadly disease, that he doesn't have much time to live. We never know how much time he has. We never know exactly which disease he has. So he's a postman in Portugal. So he decides to sell everything, sell his house, and just go off to Thailand, following a suggestion from his friend from the post company that goes there on sexual holidays every year. So he just decides to leave with no plan and just go away. This is one part of the movie. Another part of the movie, it's a Thai woman, which I named Hilu. And my idea for this character is, for what I knew, that's kind of a recurrent story from this woman that end up marrying a Western man. She comes from a very poor area from the north region of Thailand. We're talking about a region where people are mainly farmers. So she has a son around 7, 8 years old, and she's married, and her husband commits suicide due to game debts and alcohol. And so she decides to leave for a big city, Chiang Mai, which is a big city near this region. So we will follow all the process of her living in this rural area with our son, the suicide of their husband, all the difficulties that they have, and until she goes to the big city. So this is the second part of the movie. The third part of the movie, it's when they both meet by accident, literally by accident. So they are both riding a small motorcycle and they crash into each other, and they will start a relationship. They will fall in love. Carlos, one of our protagonists, will never tell her about this disease. So they will just get involved, moving together along the story. Her kid will come to live with them until the end of the story, which she dies. So this is the main arc of the story. I'm looking for a female woman from Thailand to help me write the story of the woman, which is for me very hard to imagine, avoiding the cliche. So this is really an important aspect of the development of the movie. Although I have a treatment for the whole story, it's really important for me to get someone, a woman from Thai, to write this female character. Yeah, that's it. Maybe the producer wants to say something.
Hello, everybody. So for us, I think at the moment, more important thing is to find out this person to work with us, because it's really important to for us who is telling this story. So we really want to avoid the cliches. We are really interested and respectful for the Thai culture. So for us, it's important to bring this person to work with us at this moment. The project is in a very early stage of development. But we want to start to talking with some distributors, co-producers, and sales agent to follow up the project with us. So you want to?
Yeah. So maybe as a wrap up, what is important for me to talk about is I want to talk about working people who struggle to get through the months, to pay the bills. And for me, the challenge is to approach this struggle from two complete different cultures, like the Western culture, which I come from, and that I know more or less well, and the Oriental culture, which I have some idea from my experience of living in Asia, but of course it's not my born culture. But I believe that somehow it's the struggles, the needs are more or less the same, but with different accents, with different ways of expressing themselves. So that's for me the main purpose of the movie. It's to talk about working class people.
Thank you, Antonio and Tatiana, and sorry for interrupting, but we have like 2 minutes left for questions. If the jury wants to bring any question, or the audience. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to make any question and use this time to clarify anything. Okay, if not, we will proceed to the next project. Thank you, Antonio and Tatiana. You can always communicate by chat here in the Zoom, or through the industry platform. You can connect and use the meetings tool to discuss further if you want. The next project is entitled Meu Tio José, My Uncle José, and is here to be presented by Zucker Rios, author, from the production company Origem Produtora de Conteúdo from Brazil. It's one of the projects in progress section, so in post-production, almost ready to be released.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Zucker Rios, director of My Uncle José. And I would like to say that I am feeling very happy to be here in Guiões. I believe you of the jury have watched the movie or the trailer or both, and read the basic material that I sent to the festival. So I believe you know the film is already finished. And before you ask why did I subscribe the finished movie into a work in progress category, I answer that when I subscribed My Uncle José by December 2020, it was unfinished yet. Fortunately, we could finish this 2D animation film by May 2021, and after that, it has been accepted in major festivals as Annecy International Animation Festival, Vancouver Independent Film Festival, and of course, Guiões. The story is about how a 10-year-old boy who loved to play tag and fly kites with his little brother and friends learns what is a dictatorship from the murder of his uncle in 1983. I am this boy, and my Uncle José is the answer to the lack of answers from my own country, which in those times was tyrannized by a cruel, authoritarian, and undemocratic regime, which I try to show with the story. With the story for all family, despite the heavy subject, which is half product of my imagination and half the saddest part of my family history. So it's a fiction that encounters a real life fact and a political movie that crosses with a family drama. We have wonderful Brazilian star talents working in this movie. Wonderful, as Wagner Moura, who did Narcos, Elysium, Elite Squad, and other big movies. We have also Tonico Pereira, who is one of the best Brazilian actors in all times. Lorena Comparato, a young, famous, and very talented actress, and 27 other incredible actors and actresses, including 15 children and teenagers. A fantastic gift we received at the beginning of the production was the acceptance of Chico Buarque de Holanda, master of Brazilian popular music, licensing us 5 of his most important songs, 5 true classics that make up the soundtrack of the 5 chapters that make up the movie. My Uncle José is my first feature, but I have directed before 8 animation series, 5 documentary series, and 5 short movies. My company, Origem, still among the most productive and creative animation studios in Brazil, and we are now producing 2 other features, one in co-production with Mexico, 1 new animation series, 1 new documentary series, and we have also other projects in development. For my uncle Jose, we are searching for sales agents and international distribution companies. So that's it, a quick presentation. I hope you have enjoyed this personal and autobiographic experience. All the best for you.
Thank you, Duca. We have time for questions from the jury. Paolo wants to bring a question, please.
Yeah, I actually have a general question because I'm very curious. I mean, the project is very ambitious and as you mentioned, it's political as well. So I'm very curious to know what kind of space there is in Brazil for a film like this, for an animated film that has a content that is also somewhat provocative and adult-driven rather than children-oriented. What kind of impact you expect the film to have in Brazil and maybe elsewhere?
I believe it will sensibilize, make people think about the problem was the dictatorship in these days. It's a kind of problem that is still returning to the society with this kind of politics we have today. The principal player is Bolsonaro of this kind of politics with this fascist kind of using this power to make this return to the past in Brazil. So we think it will mobilize many people to the movie rooms to watch this movie, and we have a goal that is to show children and teenagers what is a dictatorship from this project. So I believe in schools and other space that we have children and teenagers, it will be passed in with many success. Sorry for my English.
Thank you, Duca and Paolo. Any other question from the jury or from the audience?
Yes, I have one. Tucumán is a distributor in Brazil, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Nicholas. Any other question? We still have a couple of minutes. If we don't have any additional questions, we will proceed to the next project. Thank you, Duca. The next project is entitled O Mensageiro, or The Messenger in English. It's a co-production between Brazil and Argentina, and it will be presented here by Lucia Murat from Taiga Films, and it's in co-production with Felicitas Raffo from Cepa Audiovisual. Okay, welcome, Lucia.
Hello, hello everybody. Well, I'm Lucia Murat. As you can see, I'm an old filmmaker. I've already done 13 films, 13 feature films. All of them was released in Brazil and in some other countries as Argentina, Mexico, Portugal, France, and the United States. I've been also in some of the most important festivals as Berlin, Toronto, Sundance, and so on. My new film, The Messenger, will be shot in September. As you all know, and as Andrea and the other Brazilians here talk about, the situation in Brazil is very bad. And so this film is has a very low budget, but it has already 8%. I tried to put the film in the budget that I had, that it was possible because the mayor of Niterói did a financing for one film, and I was selected for that. So what I am looking for is world sales and more finance from other countries. The film is about polarization in radical times. It begins with Vera, aged 70, a professor at the university, debating with her students about politics and forgiveness. Then the story of Vera, 20 years old, imprisoned at a military fortress during the dictatorship, who knows a soldier, Armando. In the face of torture, Armando decides to take a message from Vera to his family and establish an effective relationship with Dona Maria, Vera's mother. Despite the horrors of the time, the film works on this possibility of a relationship that's becoming closer between two lonely and lost human beings, a high middle-class lady and a young soldier of rural origin. Well, this is a film of fiction, but of course it has a lot of my experience. I've been in prison during 3.5 years during the dictatorship, and I've been tortured during 3 months. So, but the idea of the film comes much more of what we're living now in Brazil. No? So I think that the importance of the message is in its proposal. Despite being a period film, it discusses contemporary issues such as polarization and forgiveness. It's not a coincidence that the character of Vera, as a teacher, wants to talk with her students about Hannah Arendt, the philosopher who lived through the horrors of Nazism and who watched and wrote about the trial of Adolf Eichmann. Arendt agreed to condemn him, but she also worked on the question of the banality of evil, being questioned by the Jewish community, which did not agree with the complexity of the approach. In this film, we will have two persons, Armando and Maria, that in general, in this kind of film, are put in a secondary role. But here, no, they are in the front of the film. I think that it's very interesting because of that to put this kind of characters that are in general outside in the film or just secondary on the film. And also two things I think that the film speaks a lot. The possibility of dialogue between them, between these two characters, no? And also how violence achieve everybody that is in the circle. So the violence achieve Dona Maria, but also Armando, the soldier. And the film also discusses the impact of violence on those who was part of this society. And is it possible for Armando to escape the wickedness he experienced as a human being? Well, the film is distributed by Imovision, directed by Jean-Thomas Bernardini, with whom I've been working in almost my films, and in Brazil. No, he works on Brazil. Well, and it's that.
Thank you very much, Lucia. So we have time for questions from the jury. I think if there is any question coming from the jury members, please unmute yourself, jump in. Paolo, yeah.
Lucia mentioned that they're starting the production next September, if I'm not wrong, but you also said that you're still open to collaboration with another co-producing country. Is it maybe for post-production?
Well, the idea is to shoot, no, with what I have, that comes from Niterói, that comes from this financing. And then we have also Argentina. The director, the DP is coming from Argentina, and a part of the post-production will be done in Argentina. But of course, we need more for post-production, and of course, and if it comes before, it would be beautiful also. Because of course, as I told you, I put the film in a very low budget, but if I have more, it would be incredible.
Thank
But
you.
the film is possible to do in a low budget because it has few locations. And so, well, I have some experience to do that. So that's the idea.
Thank you, Lucia. I think Nicholas has a question.
Yeah, yes. So just maybe on the casting aspect of things, I'm assuming you already have your cast. Can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, we are, because I work a lot in my story. This film was done by me and Tunico Amancio. the other screenwriter, but I work a lot with the actors. So we started last month working with the actors. And this, I think, it will be incredible for the film. For instance, not my last film, because my last film, I'm going to release it now, but the film before, that was Praça Paris, that was co-produced by Fado Filmes, a very good co-production. That was possible because we had at that time an agency in Brazil that had, this possibility of co-production with Portugal, and now we don't have anything more because the agency is quite paralyzed. And so, yes, but as we are in the essays, we have three big characters in the film, no? The young girl that is in prison, the mother, and the soldier. So the three are already casted.
Thank you, Lucia. Any other question from the audience? Okay.
Actually, I was curious about another thing, which is more about the topic of the film, because I was mentioning that that this story is focusing on two characters that usually are on the side in this kind of stories, and still it is about the violence of those times. How do we see in this story the violence? I mean, do we get to see the violence within the prison, or is it the violence as a widespread psychological or political weight burden on the characters in their daily lives?
Yeah, well, till now I decided not to show the violence as I lived, the torture room, but we see it in the persons, in the mother, of course, and in the soldier, more in the soldier, because he started to mixing a little reality with violence, imagination with violence. So this is increasing during the film. More in this, both of them, in the mother more depressive, and in the soldier more aggressive. But the idea of the film is not to show any scene of torture. But you see people who are dead, you see some things like that. But the result, not the violence itself. I think it would be interesting if I remain with that idea.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucia. So thank you everybody for the questions. We will move on to the next project, which is O Sol e o Peixe, or in English, The Sun and the Fish. It will be presented by the producer Antonio Gonçalves Jr. from Grafo Audiovisual and the author Caroline Biagi. It's coming from Brazil.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Caroline Biagi, and I'm here today to present to you my first feature film project called O Sol e o Peixe, or The Sun and the Fish. It's a coming-of-age story about a 15-year-old girl dealing for the first time with loss and grief. Our protagonist is Larissa, and 1 year before the story begins, Larissa's brother, who was also a teenager, died. He drowned at the sea, and her family hasn't been able to actually recover from this loss. I mean, they barely dealt with it, actually. And they are now 1 year after planning their first family trip without Larissa's brother, when they get a call saying that their beach house was invaded. So the family needs to go back to this place where her brother died. In this return has different impacts in each of them. Larissa's mother is a very pragmatic and straightforward woman, and she wants to sell the house So she focuses on that. She thinks there is nothing left for the family there. It's just pain for her. Larissa's father, on the other hand, he starts fixing these small things, the small issues of the house. There's like an infiltration, this water that keeps coming back. And in this process, he gets more and more attached to the house, and his mental health, which was already fragile when they got there, gets worse in this period that they spend there. Larissa, our protagonist, she splits her time. During the day, she practices for an open water swim competition, a type of swimming marathon, which was a sport that her brother was a champion of. So it's kind of a way of honoring him, but somehow also competing with him. And that creates a lot of conflict between her and her parents. And also at night, she joins this group of teenagers that are breaking into these vacant houses, because the city used to be a place where families would spend their summers, but now it's kind of in a downfall. A lot of the houses are being sold or rented. So that's how she spends her days. And Larissa's inner motivation is to actually find a way for her parents to communicate. Of course, she doesn't know that because she's a teenager, so it's a clumsy way that she finds to make him talk, but she's actually very tired and very angry of being this go-between them, So when she finally gets caught in one of the invasions, that's when the family is able to acknowledge this void, this loss, this pain that they're feeling, and confront each other and try to find a way to move forward. As I said in the beginning, The Sun and the Fish is my first feature film project. And I approach subjects that I have discussed before in my short films, such as family, grief, and memory, all subjects that are very dear to me. Now, Antonio Jr., the producer, is going to talk a little bit more about the project.
Hello, I'm Antonio. And my production company is Grafo Audiovisual. We already produced 10 feature films and a lot of short films, films that were selected for festivals as Cannes, Venice, Sundance, San Sebastian, and won more than 200 awards around the world, and were sold for many territories. About O Sol e o Peixe, it won a Brazilian development fund of 17,000 euros. And we participated in a few Brazilian events and contests with the script, and which is now currently in the third draft. We are looking for international film funds, co-producers, and sales agents. Our goal is to shoot the film in the second semester of 2022. And we are open for meetings today and in the next days. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Guiões.
Thank you, Caroline and Antonio. I open for questions for the jury or audience. Please feel free to jump in and mute yourself and make any questions that you may want. Yes, Paolo.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the fish in the title?
Sure. The Sun and the Fish is the name of an essay by Virginia Woolf, and she talks about witnessing a sun eclipse, a total eclipse. And she talks about how after not seeing the sun, that affected her so deeply that even when there was light again, she couldn't forget that. So this was one of the genesis of the project. When I read this, I thought about this idea of death also, how when you experience that, it's like the character is experiencing for the first time. It's something that it will always stay with you. So it is kind of it's related to that. It's not an adaptation to the essay, but it's connected to that.
Thank you. Any other question?
Can you tell us a bit more about the animation style that you'd like to use? Is it the same as you used before? Is like, what can we expect it to look like, if you can share?
Oh no, the film is not an animation. It's a live action film. Yes, it's just the drawing of. I'm sorry, I should have said
Sorry,
that.
okay, my bad. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other question? We still have some time. If anyone wants to ask something. If not, we will proceed. Thank you, Caroline and Antonio. The next project is entitled Trago uma cabeça de Orun Bomani, or in English, Bring Me Orun Bomani's Head. It will be presented by Ariel Ferreira, and the producers may join Ana do Carmo and Rubian Melo from Saturnema Films, also from Brazil.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ariel Luiz Ferreira. I am a Brazilian director and screenwriter, director of creative department at Saturnema Films and Calundô Films.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rubia Mello. I am a communicologist and executive producer at Saturnema Films. Today, we're here to talk about the project Bring Me Orun Bomani's Head, a feature fiction film, the first feature of Ariel, a thriller of 90 minutes for the young and adult public.
The film is about a young dancer that needs to win a dance contest to get rid of a bizarre creature that stalks him. Orun Bomani is a 17 young Black man, leader of a promising dance group of Pagodão Baiano, a popular local Black dance style. The story begins with these boys rehearsing for a performance that has the potential to change their careers forever, from amateur to professional. While they are rehearsing, we see a weird creature with the square head watching them. This creature is not from this world, and only Orun can see it. Orun lives with his tenant, an old Black man called Dengo, who decided to give up his dancing career many years ago to become a history teacher. They have a very brotherly relationship, but they see the world from very different perspectives, what makes their relationship very difficult. While Dengo is very realistic and tries to put Orun's feet on the ground, Orun takes all his chances towards his dream. The long-awaited day arrives, and before the group performs, the entire dance hall holds a minute of silence in honor of a young Black man who was murdered by the police in the neighborhood. Then the presentation begins. Orun and his crew rock and are awarded. Orun believes that now that he has achieved everything he ever wanted, the square-head monster will finally stop haunting him. But the monster is still there, but now 10 times bigger. This is when it is revealed that Orun's great unresolved conflict is that he and Dengo are actually the same person. Orun, ever since he was a little boy, had to face the image of his inevitable future failure living under his roof. Orun needs drastic measures to get rid of the creature, otherwise his future would be as empty as Dengo's. He takes a gun to kill it, but on his way, he's intercepted by a police patrol. Then, right when the search begins, when everything seems to be lost, the gun is simply no longer there. It's like Orun was born again, like he's gotten a second chance to live. When Orun returns home, he's surprised with a big party. It's his birthday. He is turning 18, and he in Brazil can already be arrested. He goes to meet Dengo so that together they can blow out the cake candle and make a wish. He sees Dengo all sweaty, dancing to the creature. Although speechless, Orun does not disturb them. On the contrary, this time he's pulled out the chair for the creature to sit on, and together they enjoy Dengo Russ' performance.
This project participated at 7 screenwriting labs among the Cinema Negra em Ação, Film Marketing, sponsored by Netflix Brazil, and awarded as Best Feature Script by Fade to Black Festival. It is its third draft, and we are currently looking for financing opportunities and international co-production.
Although the story takes place in the city of Salvador, where I come from, this project touches on issues of global reach. We talk about how sometimes we are not able to fight all of our fears and insecurities. And to tell this story, we bring in a Black character who fears becoming what society expects him to be. So if young Black people can deal with their own complexity, how could the state do it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ariel and Rubian. Any question from the jury or from the audience?
Yeah.
Please, Marie-Pierre.
Yeah. Can you tell us about a bit more about your creature?
Thank you for the question. I'm going to pass all the question to my translator, Claudia Sater.
Hello, everyone. Can you repeat the question, please?
I would like to know about more than the creature. The form would be horror film or something disgusting or just funny. I don't know.
Thank you. So the creature has a square head, but it's like the creature has no face. So it is for the people to see some issues inside of this creature. Can be anxiety, can be depression, can be the fear of adult life. That's why it has no face. And the movie is a thriller, so it's kind of haunting him. So it's not funny. In another way, it's kind of haunting. It's a very weird creature.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Ana do Carmo. I'm here to also help with the translation. I'm a producer as well. In addition to what Claudia said, the film is like a mixture of Black Swan, the film, and the series Atlanta. On the other hand, we have Black Swan as a super character study that portrays an internal and existential issue of the character, and there's Atlanta that brings social issues and community experience through an underground optic, and also films like Pan's Labyrinth, where instead of the monster being the great villain of the story, he's like the character's mentor throughout his journey of self knowledge. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other question? Jury, audience?
I have a question. Can you talk a little more about your protagonist's personality?
Thank you for the question. I go to pass it for my partner, Ana do Carmo. Okay, so here in Brazil, despite having more than half of the population as Black, our country is also one of the world leaders in genocide of the Black population. Not only physical, but also mental genocide. So this film is a call for us to see Black bodies as people with many stories to tell us everybody else. So that's why we want to tell the story. And Brazil is a pretty big country, so we still haven't seen all the possibilities of narratives that can be told here in Brazil with our vision. As Claudia said, the monster is supposed to be the mentor of the character. And for Ariel, as a Black man, writing this film is much more than a job, but an opportunity to rewrite our story throughout his eyes. So I think this character comes very of Ariel's experience.
Like for a very young age, Ariel has always been like denied the right to be a sensitive man, to cry, to assimilate the complexity of his own experience. And while a Black man, a muscular one, tall, they expect him to be the stereotype of like full strength, you know? So this film is like a letter from Ariel to the world that tells that Black men as like they are complex, just as complex as every other person. And here in Salvador, there's a phrase that said, oh, you're turning 18, you can already be arrested. That's how we construct this character. He fears becoming 18, but also because he's a Black man who is a target of the police. So that's how we intend to create this character.
Thank you, Hannah and Marina, for the question. Any last minute question for this project? If not, thank you, Rubian and Ariel, and I missed the name of who's with Ariel. Thank you very much, and we will proceed. We will proceed to Raoni Upaitaon. It's the last project to be presented in this session. To present it will be Julia Jardanovsky, Marina Certain, and Olivia Pedroso, and it's being produced by Filmes da Garoa from Brazil. It's a series project.
When a child is born, so is the mother, goes the saying. But what about the father? Hi, my name is Julia, and I'm here representing the project Raoni Upaitaon. I'm part of the trio of Brazilian female creators who grew up in São Paulo. In this huge calderon, we met when we were still kids, and our reunion years later revealed that despite now living in 3 different continents, we share a deep connection with our country of origin, which is going through some very tough times, as well as the urge to rethink and transform gender dynamics that are replicated in so many places around the world. My friends and colleagues, Marina and Olivia, developed Femininx as their first project together, an anthological fictional series that portrays different contemporary expressions of femininity. I fell in love with the characters and the captivating plots, and that's when the desire to work together emerged. The 3 of us share the craving to turn into cinematography all we can observe when it comes to gender, from the beautiful and liberating discoveries to the repression and violence and everything in between. The stories that we seek to tell are all steered by the subject, both in an intimate and in a collective level. That's how Raoni Upaitaon was born. It's a fictional series that brings a feminine and feminist perspective on masculinity through fatherhood. Observing a baby boom in this phase of life, we realized how much fatherhood is fertile ground for exploring masculinity, precisely because it invites us to rethink the place of men in the family and in the world. As women without children, we face the challenge of getting closer to a universe that, despite not being ours, concerns us. We interviewed then dozens of fathers, including those belonging to some minorities, Black, gay, and transsexual. And these accounts, some of them comic, others dramatic, inspired the series and gave a tone of realism and humanity to it. We also relied on the crucial work of Marcos Rodrigues and Gabriel Santiago, both young Black men, residents of the outskirts of São Paulo, hired as consultants to revive the project. Well, after this introduction, let's cut to the chase. The series is comprised of 7 20-minute episodes. Raoni is the name of our protagonist, and Upaitaon is a Brazilian slang that translates literally to the dead is online, and more subjectively to something on the lines of a guy that is down for everything. And that's actually a great description for our protagonist. A young Black man who is a first-time father living in the impoverished outskirts of São Paulo. Raoni is a cool and charismatic guy that jumps on the bandwagon of delivery apps and becomes a delivery guy. However, after hurting his foot in a motorcycle accident, he's forced to stay at home with his baby daughter, Jade, while his partner, Isis, returns to work after her maternity leave is over. The pilot portrays the very first day when Raoni stays alone with Jade, which is enough for him to understand the hardship that it is taking care of a baby on his own. And already on his day, he screws up big time. So after screwing up, he gets super distressed and films and posts online a heartfelt and captivating video sharing his fears and insecurities as a father and as a man. The video unexpectedly goes viral. Raoni decides to create a channel about fatherhood, and that's when his life takes a strong turn. So at the same time, he gains a huge amount of followers, and he strengthens his relationship with his daughter. What he doesn't imagine, though, is that meanwhile, Isis is living the drama of suspecting that Raoni is not Jade's biological daughter, or father, sorry. In this journey, our protagonist discovers his strengths and weaknesses as a man, a partner, and a father, while dealing with sudden fame and aspects of structural racism. Albeit not avoiding dense subjects, the series bets on a light mood. On the periphery of São Paulo, so little represented in audiovisual productions, Raoni is not the goofy father, nor the hero one. He's an ordinary guy. And that's exactly why he provokes identification in so many people that are thirsty for another perspective on fatherhood and parenting. Festival Guiões is the very first space in which this project is being presented. Now, with the Bible and the arguments finished, we're looking for partners ready to invest their experience, energy, and resources to be part of the birth of the series, Raoni, o Pai Tá On, whether through international co-production, sales agent, or TV VOD partners. Thanks.
Thank you, Julia. Any questions from the jury audience? We have a couple of minutes if anyone wants to jump in to bring questions. If the jury doesn't, someone in the audience maybe has any question. So if no questions are coming, I must remind that through the industry platform, you can connect at any time throughout the festival. You can make use of our meetings tool to know more about any of these projects selected in this year's edition. You can use that platform to follow the program, and for the people following through our YouTube channel, all the sessions will be live streamed there. The next one's in Portuguese language. This is the only session that was provided in English language. I want to thank all of 10 projects that were selected this year, the authors, the participants. It's a pleasure to have you with us this year. I also want to thank the jury members for this section, Marie-Pierre Vallée, Nicolas Kaiser, and Paolo Bertolin. Thank you very much for your presence, participation this year. I can inform that the awards will be announced in the last session of the festival, which will be on Saturday, the 12th of June. The jury members will decide on the awards in the upcoming days. But first of all, or in the foremost, this pitching session is mainly dedicated to connect you with potential interested partners, being interested co-producers, distributors, sales agents, whatsoever. But just don't keep it only for this session. I encourage you all to keep connected, keep pursuing new connections throughout our industry platform. This will be the wrap of this opening session. Again, thank you to our main supporters, partners, sponsors to allow this festival to happen. And I see here someone was writing down, but just to let you know that we will continue in a separate new session. I will share here in the chat the link for the next session. Will be the competition for pilot episodes scripts. Here is in the chat. On the YouTube channel, it will be automatically live streamed, so you can just keep on the same page. And thank you all for this opening session. I hope it was a good experience for you, and I look forward to continue having you in the next sessions. Thank you very much. All the best. Bye-bye. See you in a bit.
Thank you.